From BBC to this hotel, which is bang in the centre of Manchester, it was anything but calm. I've seen running battles between police officers and looters. They've been knocking people to the ground, trying to clear the streets. As I walked through Piccadilly Gardens, which is just bang in the city centre, every shop window was smashed in. There was a huge amount of destruction, and behind me you can see the flashing blue lights of the emergency services as they continue to respond to emergencies. I've seen police dogs chasing demonstrators away. Just a street away there was a van set on fire. So it is a very difficult night at the moment for Greater Manchester Police.
What would be your best estimate on the numbers of rioters, the gangs that are running around in the city centre, and the numbers of riot police?
It's very difficult to say. As you pointed out, I was in Salford earlier today, and there you could see people more or less in one spot. And I would say there was just over 100 people there in total, but many of those were just bystanders, local people watching what was happening. I would estimate that there were probably about 30 people who were deliberately causing trouble, smashing up shop windows. They set fire to one small council building. They attacked my cameraman, who fortunately wasn't seriously hurt. But in Manchester, it's a slightly different picture. What you've got are small groups all over the city, attacking different places, causing real trouble. And so to estimate numbers is very difficult. In terms of the police, it's a very large police presence, and they're clearly working very hard to get these people off the streets and preferably get them out of here altogether.
Does it feel as if the situation is under control or not?
No, it doesn't. It was worse than I was expecting. The moment I stepped out of the BBC building, you saw examples of looting straight away. There was a small Spar supermarket just over the road. There have been looters in there. As we walked here, which was only about a 10-minute walk away, you saw trouble throughout. There was a real sense of tension on the ground. As people were approaching you, you weren't sure who was there just as ordinary people and who was there to cause trouble. There were police here, there were police there. There were literally people being knocked to the ground and fights taking place in front of you. It did not feel like a situation under control. And even up here on the roof, seeing the number of emergency service vehicles going up and down the road, there's clearly still a real problem here in the city centre, and also, by the way, I gather still in Salford this evening as well.
OK, Arif, thank you very much for that. Let's stay in Manchester. We're going to go down to street level. We'll go to that short. I think it's just a bit of a problem with the camera, just as we were about to go to it. We will do shortly. This is where we were seeing Chris Buckler just a little bit earlier, just about 15 minutes ago. Extraordinary live scene of the cat and mouse game, as it's been described by observers. Game is perhaps not the appropriate word, but certainly cat and mouse. And it's where the police are trying to contain the troublemakers in the heart of the city, but in a specific part of it. And the rioters rather, the gangs run one way, and the police try to cordon them off and stop them getting out of that specific area. In other words, they clearly feel that it is relatively contained. We can't go to that position just now. It's quite volatile, as Arif was saying, felt far from under control. But if we're able to, we will do. I know that the crew is just getting rid of abuse from somebody passing by. Nothing serious, but it does stop us going to it. So the West Midlands...
A short while later, this is Birmingham city centre. They charge, but the damage is done. And those responsible have slipped away. The police are much better organised than last night, but it's like they're chasing shadows. With no buses and no trains running, people are left stranded.
Do you feel frightened?
Yeah, we do feel frightened.
Have you had any reassurance from the police or anything like that? Do you feel secure?
Yeah, the sisters are going to watch us. There won't be any trouble here, they said.
So that's why we're not doing here.
Very scary.
Was it scary to leave?
Yeah. Still scared now. And I've got to go home. Really scared.
Quickly, the situation gets worse. This, the scene near Moore Street Station. More support is brought in, but as the sun goes down, people watch the chaos beneath them.
Things really do seem to be a lot more violent here tonight. This is a kind of front line with the riot police just here. Just beyond them, you might be able to make out a large gang. They've just been throwing glass bottles in this direction.
Earlier today, there were raids across the city on those suspected of looting.
If you don't let the handcuffs go on, you're going onto the floor.
More arrests and the recovery of stolen goods. Nick Clegg also came to meet people here today, but he didn't get a particularly warm reception.
Oh, he's going.
I'm never going to apologise for getting out there and speaking to people and talking to the victims of this needless violence, destruction and thieving.
People do what they can to save their businesses, even as the violence breaks out around them. The police know that they can't be everywhere. Much of the time, all they can do is wait. Claire Marshall, BBC News, Birmingham.